Hello. I'm actually really glad to be making another video today. I took a little bit of time off, did some fasting and took care of a few things that I needed to do. And then I kind of got into that rut that we can get into when we stop doing something that we used to do every day. Sometimes it can be hard to jump back on that train, but I'm here again and I'm really glad to be here. I do love coming and making these videos, even if no one watches them at the time being. I still enjoy coming and getting out of my comfort zone and having these conversations. So today's conversation is going to be about the divine essence that we all carry within us. That divine essence is our godliness. Even the most atheist thinking person has a slice of God within them, whether they like to admit that or not, whether that makes them uncomfortable or not, or whether they live as far away from that fact as they possibly can or not. Whether we think we have or we think we haven't, that doesn't change the fact that we have. Excuse me. That doesn't change the fact that we have. Each one of us has that divine fragment of God. We are all divine fragments of God. And being divine fragments of God, we carry a divine essence within us. One of the most reality-shaping things that God has given us, and probably our strongest superpower, is that of free will. And being the fragments of God that we are, we can use that free will to shape our reality. We do use that free will to shape our reality. And that's where that saying, whether we say we can or we say we can't, where right comes into play. Because it's true. Whether we say we can't or we say we can, we're 100% right every time. And if we say we can, that doesn't mean that like magically we can do something that we have to work hard at in order to be able to do it. But when we say we can, we open up the realms of, not open up the realms of possibility, because those all realms of possibility are already open, but we open up the realms of possibility for what it is we're saying we can do to be a possibility for us, to be a real possibility to us, because all possibilities are possibilities for us. But without using our free will to say that we can actually do them things, or to believe that we can actually do them things, or to actually want them things in the first place, even though all possibilities are open to us, we close ourselves off to whatever possibilities we say that we can't do, we believe that we can't do, or we say that we don't want. And that is our divine essence right there. There is many other layers to it. Camera wants to fall. There is many other layers to it, but that is the basis of it right there. Our ability to create what it is that we want to see in life. And if we want to open up our divine essence and let it bloom like a flower in spring, then there's certain things that we need to do. And if we want to, alright, let me stay there, I don't want to jump all around. So if we did want to allow it to open and bloom and really become the beautiful thing that it is, then what it is that we need to do is start to focus on the basics, our mindset. All is mind. Everything starts in the mind. So if we want to embrace the divinity that we hold within us, we have to understand that that all starts in the mind. Like I said just now, the belief, the desire, the will, those three things are super important. Without those three things, nothing is possible. Without the desire, the actual feeling of wanting something in the first place, we're not going to achieve whatever it is. Like, things aren't just going to magically happen for us unless a divine intervenes and wants to reveal something to us. Maybe other people in our lives could bring something to us, or other people in our lives may bring an idea to us and open up our minds. Or sometimes maybe just outright magic could happen, where something is manifested into your life by the divine in order to open up your mind and show you something new. And you know, our free will is so strong that if we decide to not see that thing, we miss all the signs that the divine may send to us. But yeah, the first steps of actually taking control of your own divinity and creating like the gods that we are, creating the life that we want to see, living in that divinity. The first steps are taking ownership of ourselves, taking ownership of our lives, understanding that we are actually divine beings, and then using our free will to begin to explore that divinity, begin to explore that divine gift that we've been given, that is life within these human bodies. And that's not really our divine nature, us living life in these human bodies. These human bodies are the restrictions, are the main obstacle to us being able to live our divinity. Our real divinity isn't even in this body. It may look to us in our limited way of thinking at times that this is us, but it's not. Our true divinity lies inside and outside of us. You know, our soul, our spirit, those things aren't just, well, our soul may be restricted to our body. Maybe it's just outside of the body that we could see, but our spirit is omnipresent. Our spirit isn't just restricted to one place, and that's where our true divinity lies. But we can't just jump from our human bodies into spirit straight away, not without understanding who we really are and playing with that, and in time of exploring our true divinity, creating the right frequencies within us in order to be able to fully embody the divinity that we are. That's what it takes. But the first steps are using our minds to create. For me, I find no better exploration of the divine beings that we are than actually creating in the world around us. I've mentioned in a video before, one of my favorite things to do was to make clouds disappear. It's very instantaneous and it's self-explanatory when you see yourself do it, that you are divine. There's no other outcome is the only word that's coming to my mind, but that's not the word I was looking for. There's no other place that you can come to other than actually understanding that, wow, I am divine. When you see something that is part of every day, that is outside of ourselves, disappear right in front of your eyes because you're asking it to. Because you're using the power of your mind and the power of your own energy, the power of the love that resides within you to cause that beautiful earthly thing up in the sky to dissipate, dissolve and disappear. That's a very tangible experience that really, when you see that happen, you have no other choice but to understand that you are divine. And then that there creates a strong foundation in order for you to be able to start believing in the power that you have, the power of your mind, the power that you have to affect the world around you, which you need that belief when it comes to embodying your divinity. That's a major part in the growth that you're going to go through throughout the journey, because it's a journey. It never stops. You know, once we get on that train, as the journey carries on, we pick up new skills along the way. Our frequency starts to change. Our vibration changes, and therefore our frequency changes. And when those things happen, we change. Our body changes, our mind changes. The experiences that we can then have and experience grows. But I mentioned just now that we can't just go from not feeling like we're divine to jump straight into our full divinity, because one, our bodies aren't like acclimatized to that level of energy and that level of being. Our bodies, when we first get into this realm of thinking and this realm of understanding, our bodies are very much still in the three-dimensional ways of being. We've used our minds all of our lives to create this body that is fit for the world that we thought we lived in. And in order for us to be able to, and our minds as well, our minds are shaped in that way too. And in order for us to be able to fully get to our full potential, we have to go on a long journey of a long expedition. You know, thousands of years ago, it would take decades sometimes to go on long trips, you know, in the physical. And that's kind of the level of journeying that we'd have to go on. We'd have to really, and I don't want to, like, that to someone that's just starting out on this journey, that may sound discouraging, but so maybe I shouldn't jump in there. But the full potential of our divinity, which you could say is along the lines of living in the way that Jesus lived and being able to perform and create miracles like Jesus did. That's and beyond. Like Jesus said, mankind is going to go on to do greater things than he actually did in his lifetime. When, as a collective, we begin to fully live out our divinity and live our divine lives in the way that they have to be lived, and we come together, we pool our energies together and our minds and our intentions, we're going to become a lot stronger than Jesus was able to become, being a lone wolf, so to speak, even though he wasn't a lone wolf. There were others, many others around him that, you know, the mystery schools that he went to and some of the priests that he would have spent a lot of time with, they would have had their own power of divinity. You know, it's easy to think when we read the Bible that he was surrounded by idiots a little bit, because the disciples would ask such naive questions. And by thinking that his disciples were his support system, and I think that's a gross misconception of the kind of people that were around at that time, because there would have been many great people, many people with divine powers and divine what's the right word? Divine authority, let's say, which wasn't really demonstrated very much by his disciples whilst he was alive within the Bible. There are a lot of there's a lot of evidence that's been left by his disciples after he died that proves that they went on to become great men, very divine in their own rights. But I'm going off course a little bit. So this journey that it takes, to, and that it's gonna take to get to our full potential and embody our divine essence in its entirety. Not only does it take a while because there's a lot of changes that we have to go through, that's true, but it also takes a while because we're not going to be able to open up the realms of divine powers that we have. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to put my phone there just in case the wind's going a little bit crazy. God's not going to give us access to the divine power that we have without us being ready for it, without us being really ready for it. Not falsely ready. You know, we can't, and I'm not saying that many people in the world would do this, but there definitely is people in the world that would do this. We can't fool God. So we have to have our hearts in the right place. We have to do the work internally to make sure that when these divine gifts are given to us, we're gonna deal with them in a responsible manner. And like I say, those things can't be faked. You know, we can't plan to, because with this divinity comes a lot of power. A lot of power. And we can't access that without doing the shadow work and getting our hearts in the right place and ensuring that we wish no harm to nobody in this world. And that's something that I'm struggling with at the minute. You know, there's a lot of people that's done me wrong in my life, and whilst I wouldn't do anything to harm them, there's a major part of me that wants to. Maybe not my family and stuff, but you know, there's people that's ripped me off, owe me a lot of money, a lot of money, and other things, people that mistreat my children, and I really have to look within and speak with God as well. Look within and look without, to really try to figure out what's right to do. And I've come to understand that the right thing to do is to turn the other cheek. Just allow these people to be who it is that they've chosen to be, and not react with any negativity. So definitely no violence. In the past, that's been something that has been a big part of my life in the past. There was something that I had to really work at getting away from, dealing with problems with violence. And I haven't for a long period of time. A long period of time. But that doesn't mean that I don't think about it sometimes. That doesn't mean that I don't battle to make decisions of whether to dish out my own retribution in certain situations. But we have to leave that up to the divine. And that's part of you know, that's part of doing your shadow work. Understanding the shadows that dwell within us. Understanding our weak points. Understanding the points of our being, of our life, of ourselves, that get in between the lives that we live now and the divine lives that we can live. I think a lot of people kind of struggle to understand what shadow work is. Shadow work is basically looking at yourself with an honest lens, being open enough to really shine a light on them dark parts of us. You know, if there's anything that we try to hide from someone, chances are that's part of our shadow. Not chances are, that's 100% part of our shadow. If there's anything that causes problems for us in our lives, if there's anything that we feel ashamed of when we act in a certain way, 100% those are our shadows. We have to look at every single interaction that we have and truly evaluate it from a 360 point of view. Why do I act like that? Why did I say that? Was I at fault in that situation? Could I have dealt with that better? We need to be able to look at our interactions in the world, our interaction with the world, in a very whole, in its fullness, and kind of pick it apart and be 100% honest with ourselves. Stop hiding away from certain things. Stop lying to ourselves about certain things. Stop blaming others about certain things. Really look at ourselves and figure out what we could have done to what we did to add to certain situations. Add wasn't the right word. What word am I looking for there? What kind of input we have in all situations. Give you a small example. Let's just say someone's doing you wrong. Yeah, they're in the wrong for doing you wrong. But how are they even able to carry on doing you wrong? Because you're allowing it to happen. You're putting yourself in a situation. You're not loving yourself enough to walk away from certain situations that may not be right for you. And in not doing so, you're giving the people, this person in this theoretical situation, the power to do those things again. So in that situation, there's only one person, even though, you can go and point a finger in their face and tell them they're the biggest cunt in the world. But you got to go to the mirror, and I don't advise that you speak to yourself like that. But you need to go to the mirror and tell yourself, listen, I've got to take responsibility for what I can take responsibility for in that situation. Maybe I've let them get away with talking to me like that for so long that they now think that it's okay to speak to me like that. So I have to take that on the chin. I've allowed myself to be treated like that. Or maybe you haven't had a backbone to walk away. So take that on the chin. It's a very loose example. But we have to look at every single situation and shine the light on ourselves. What are you doing? What's your input in that situation? And how does your input affect that situation? And if you was to change the input that you're given in that situation, how would that situation become? What's the best kind of input that you could put in to change the situation? If these people are truly loving people to you, maybe speaking to them and letting them know after you've really assessed yourself and assessed what you can do better. Maybe once you've done that and you feel like you've come to a good answer, look, really I don't want to put too much example out there, because there's some people in this world who really like to cut corners, and I don't want to give an example where encouraging those corner cutting situations to arise in people's lives. Like I said in the video before, me just speaking on this subject, even if 0 people watch this video, me just speaking here today is putting out an energy into the universe that will be picked up on 100%. And I don't want to be the cause for people not taking 100% responsibility. And back to what I said about God knowing when someone's being true or not. That's part of it. No corners can be cut in shadow work. We have to really, really 100% throw our all into understanding ourselves and understanding our reactions and understanding our inputs and understanding our place in the world up till now. Understanding our place in relationships up till now. Understanding our place in both negative and positive situations up till now. And these things can take time to really break down and really understand, and you know, parts of our shadow can hide from ourselves. You know, our ego can really fight against us and cause this work to be hard. But with will and determination, that same will and determination that you've been given by the Most High God, that same will and determination that will eventually carry you into your full divinity. We have to use that will and determination that's there for us at all times. We've always got will and determination if we choose to access it. You know, sometimes we may lack in discipline, sometimes we may lack in motivation, but determination is a thought process. You don't have to be disciplined to be determined. You don't have to be motivated to be determined. Free will and determination, or will and determination, go hand in hand. And free will and will are two sides of the same coin. And that right there is where our divine essence lies. Our divine essence lies within our will and determination. And our divine essence also, not only does it lie within our will and determination, the lack of our will and determination, the lack of proper use of our will and determination throughout life has been the block, the quilt that wraps itself around it, the snake that wraps itself around it. Imagine imagine a driveway, yeah, that when it's first installed, you know, the brick driveways with the patterned brick, and you know, the slabs on the pathway, and the nice design of brick on the wall, and the mortar nicely pointed, the whole driveway, the house, the garden surrounding it. We can think of our divine essence as that driveway. And when we're first born, i.e. when the driveway is first installed, it looks beautiful. All the colours are vibrant, everything's popping, looks brand spanking new, looks really well made. It's a beautiful thing. And over time, we don't see that every day, every time it rains, every time it's walked upon, every time the wind's blowing dirt and dust all over it. Every time torrential rain comes down and washes shit off a roof onto the floors, and you know, the weather, the other weathers that may come along and then bake those sediments into the stone. We don't realize that it's building this heavy amount of dirt. We don't realize that its natural, true essence of what it is hidden underneath that dirt. We still just see a driveway. And it's not until a pressure washer comes along and washes away all that dirt that we realize, oh shit, even though that looked like a driveway to me, right now that looks restored back to its beautiful, humble beginnings, to its beautiful divine essence. And that's kind of what happens to our divine essence throughout our lives. Every time we fail to understand our will and determination, and we give away the power that we inherently have through that will and determination. Every time we don't use our will and determination for our greatest good, we're adding to the dirt upon this driveway, the driveway being our divinity, our divine essence. And then over life, we don't realize that we're blocked, that we're grubby, that we're so our divine essence, we don't realize that it's even there. We don't realize that the divine essence that we was born with, beautifully perfect as babies, is now grubbied up and hidden under a layer of dirt. I hope this analogy makes sense. I've really missed making these videos. I've thought about it every day, and I'm really glad to be back, but I hope I can improve the quality of my videos and the quality of the message that I'm trying to put across. We need to loosen the dirt that's choking our divine essence, that we don't even realize is there. We need to really understand that through our lifetime, there's been a very conscious attack on our divine essence, as well as an unknowing suppression within ourselves of our divine essence. And in doing so, in suffocating it and stuffing it down, and with the world that we live in purposely convincing us that it's not a thing, and attacking it from every angle that it can be attacked from, using our own minds to attack it ourselves, using technologies to attack it. There's so many different ways that it's been attacked. We have to understand that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to get it back fully functioning. And that's where the shadow work comes in. That's where the good routines come in. Because it's not just shadow work. there's a lot of other work that we can do that will help us to fully exercise our divine essence. You know, meditation, prayer, working on our belief systems, working on us as a whole, because shadow work is specifically working on the dark sides of us and incorporating that into us, and we incorporate it by being honest about it with ourselves. As soon as we're being honest with every single aspect of ourselves that we're subconsciously hiding away, that is shadow work right there. That's the shadow work done. Once that there's done, then working on belief, working on the light side of us. Once we've done the shadow work and we've incorporated it, we then begin to work on the light side of us through meditation, diet, you know, the activities we choose to embark on, the activities we choose to involve ourselves in. You know, there's certain things that are poison for our bodies and our minds that really have zero benefit for us as human beings, that society really has been tricked into believing that it's a part of life that needs to be there, i.e. drinking, having relationships that are toxic, doing behaviors that have absolutely zero benefit for us as a necessity, i.e. going out and, you know, abusing our bodies. Oh, but you got to have fun. Whoever said that we need to do something that's bad for us to have fun? Like, how backwards is that? How backwards is that? Humanity genuinely are convinced that we have to abuse ourselves to have fun. That's the opposite of fun to me. But it's brought into the idea is brought into on such a broad level that people feel silly not to get involved with that kind of behavior, until eventually, I need to let my hair down and blow off some steam becomes the norm. I want to normalize good, clean, green fun. Clean fun. Fun that feeds the soul. Drink, drugs, unprotected sex with toxic people. None of those things feed the soul. Our inner child, exercising our inner child, reincorporating our inner child, improving, treating yourself with things that improve your life, helping others. These are all things that feed the soul, among many, many, many other things. It's almost like there's been some sort of spell that's been put over mankind to genuinely cause hate within us to do things that really deep down we'd want to do. Deep down, if we was to be able to have fun and feed our soul at the same time, it's a no-brainer that that type of thing should please us as human beings, should be enjoyable to do. But on top of these negative things being pleasurable to people in time after doing them so many times, doing those kind of things seems like torture. And it really shouldn't. And I've been there myself. I still struggle with it myself. I still struggle to understand why something that I feel so good from doing seems so fucking hard to do. And the only thing that I can think of is that there's been a mass spell put over mankind to make that happen. Spells are real. Very, very real. And spells can only be broken through will and determination and understanding well, not only, there's other ways that spells can be broken, but one of the main ways that we can break spells as individuals is through using our will and determination and our understanding. You know, prayer, meditation, all them kind of things as well, they help massively. But you don't just pray and leave it there. You want to use your will, your determination, your understanding, learn more about it. Learn more about yourself so you can feel when things feel off. You can feel when, like for me, what I said just now, there's things that I do that I absolutely love doing. Like, I get so much fucking joy out of doing. But then when I'll tell myself at the time, right, I'm doing this again tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll come and it seemed like a chore to me. How is that possible? But the more you get to know yourself and the more you begin to understand the way things work in the world, you will be able to understand where things outside of yourself are controlling what's happening in certain situations. And that's the understanding part. Anyway, it's been a long video, I think. A big part of our future is embodying our divine essence. There's no getting away from having to do the work that it's going to take to be able to get there. For a lot of humanity, it's going to become easier and easier as time goes on, because the hard work's being done by the light workers in this world. They're fighting the darkness head on, and it's going to make, in the future, it's going to make this whole journey a lot easier. But still, hard work is going to have to be put in, you know. So why wait? Do it now. Your divine essence is sat within you, just waiting to flourish. Exercise it every day. Walk in nature. Think beautiful thoughts. Manifest the life that you want to see through the power of your own mind, through the power of your own thoughts. And do everything within your power to live in the best possible way that you can. To live in the best possible way for not only yourself but all of humanity. To please God by living in the way that God would like us to live. Love your neighbour like you love yourself. Love your friends and family like you love yourself. That is what love your neighbour means. Forgive those who's done harm against you. Pray. Eat healthy. I wish everybody in this world the best possible outcomes that they can achieve. And I wish everybody in this world the growth that's going to help them to achieve the fullness of their divine essence. And now I'll say goodbye. Thank you very much.